I had been asked quite a lot on a previous video how I removed the tile adhesive, and I did promise that if I came across a wee job, and I'm doing a job here for my mate Peter, which I lost the original audio to this. Microphone wasn't plugged in properly, I think. But yes, so I did promise that I'd show you how I remove tile adhesive and how I do it with as little hassle and effort as possible, using a really sharp paint scraper. It's a bit stiff as well, and wetting down all the tile adhesive. Now, unfortunately, this might not work if the tile adhesive is pretty good, strong, waterproof type, but you do tend to find that a lot of the jobs, the stuff, it softens up when you wet it. You can use soap and warm water, should soften it a bit more, but the problem with that is you might not want soap on the wall. So to me, just warm water would work the best, but cold water works too. Give it a couple of soaks, let it soften up, and you can see I'm putting a bit of elbow grease in, but it's a lot easier. And the great thing about it is there's no dust. You know, if you're doing this when it's dry, the dust does rise, so with it being damp, you kill the dust. And again, I learned this the hard way. I had a Stanley scraper, and I was doing a job a long time ago that it needed plastered. There was no bonding, and the owners didn't want to buy bonding, so I had two options. One was, scrape it all off, which was my only option because they didn't want to get the extra material, and two, basically just fill it all out, which wasn't going to be an option really. But that was my two options here: fill it out, and like Peter was suggesting, would that create a bit of a bump on up? And yes, it actually would. If you put a bit of a straight edge in, if you just filled the bottom, you'd possibly end up having to skim the whole wall right up. That's what he was asking at this point. So yeah, taking it off is a better option other than having to replaster this whole wall, because technically you'd have to maybe fill out, and so there's no big bumps and stuff, and then re-skim the whole wall. But basically, I learned that on that job. I was scraping it, and the dust, I had a wee dust mask, but it wasn't working great, and the dust was really affecting me. I thought, you know what, I'm going to wet these down, dampen it a bit, and it'll stop the dust. And what I noticed on that job was, unfortunately, I didn't do it till I was like, it already did a lot of hard work, but I realised that the adhesive had softened up with the water, and I was just scraping off much easier. So hopefully this tip does help a lot of people trying to remove the tile adhesive. Take a lot of muscle out of your arm, make life a bit easier. And now my options here are I can just patch this all back up again, and hopefully you scrape it off and there's minimal damage and it's less touching up, and this way does help in that aspect as well.